níbẹ̀ ń wò nílé lóko. Ẹ sì kú dédé àsìkò yìí. Hey guys, it's Adirunke again. The title of this video is Ìrù Ẹṣin. Ìrù Ẹṣin. Ìrù Ẹṣin. It's from a Yoruba proverb. I'm going to talk about what the proverb is next. The full proverb is Ìrù Ẹṣin kì í ṣe déédé, bákan náà kọ́ la mórí wáyé. You could say Ìrù Ẹṣin ò kì í ṣe déédé, bákan náà kọ́ la mórí wáyé. So kì and òkín are interchangeable. Ìrù Ẹṣin kì í ṣe déédé or Ìrù Ẹṣin ò kì í ṣe déédé, bákan náà kọ́ la mórí wáyé. And I'm going to explain what the word for word transliterations of this proverb are. Ìrù is tail. In the collective, it could be tails, but Ìrù is tail. Ẹṣin is horse. In the collective, it could be horses, but Ẹṣin is horse. If you want to sort of differentiate and say maybe one horse, you would say Ẹṣin kan, two horses. Ẹṣin méjì, three horses. Ẹṣin mẹ́ta, but Ẹṣin in the collective is horses. Kì can be does not, it can be do not. It's just there to negate in the continuous present form. Kì do not, or does not, depending on what the case is. If it is tail or if it is horse, it would be does not. Since I'm putting an S behind horse and I'm saying could be horses, it would be do not. If you don't want to say ki, you could say okin, and I'll explain what that is. Again, negates. When you include it in a sentence, it negates. It provides a sense of negation. So ki is like does, or like basically okin is usually does not. So that ki would just sort of go with okin. Okay, let me just leave it as does. And then when you include in a sentence, it gives it a sense of something that is happening presently or something that usually happens. So okin will be something like usually does not when you attempt to transliterate it to English. Okin usually does not. And if you don't want to say okin, you could say ki and it's does not or do not or whatever. She in and of itself is do. She in this case kind of connotes grow. She happen to be grow, or like it connotes grow in this case. I don't want to say anything else that would be super confusing. So connotes grow in this case. She, when you see it in other sentences, it would be do. In this case, it's connoting grow. Déédé is like equal, or equally, depending on what by the time you try to transliterate it in English, what makes sense, what is grammatically correct. Bákan. In bákan, there's the word ìkan, and ìkan is one. So bákan is like one way or the same way. It's what it infers. Bákan, one way or the same way. No. I'm going to make a video on what no is. In some cases, it could be also. In this case, it doesn't mean also. It kind of just buttresses bákan in this case. Bákan no, the same way. I don't think there's an English word for this to explain what no is what no is, to bákan, but they work together. Bákan no, the same way. And then ko is not. Ko is not. La is a combination of two words. Ni a. And ni here could be is, it could be is how, it could be is or is how, depending on what makes sense in the English language when you transliterate. And then a is we. Ni a Ni can be is or is our. A is we. Mori is a combination of two words. Mu ori. Mu ori. Mu is bring. Could be take. It could be take. But it's bring in this case because of the next set of words. Next word that comprises of two words. When I get there, I'll explain. Ori is head, it's destiny, is life path. When I talked about Àṣẹ, I made a video and I talked about Àṣẹ. I explained the Ori in detail. I really went into it. This was like a 30-minute video. So I pretty much explained what the head has to do with Àṣẹ. But I would explain when I talk about this proverb, but take it that it is the head. It could be physical or spiritual. It is the destiny. It is the life path. And then waye, wa is to come. Aye is earth. Those are the two words that are conjoined to form waye. Wa and aye. Wa can become, it could become to. You could sometimes see wasiaye, come to earth. Wa here is come, but it could also connote come to if you don't want to include wa, if you don't want to include si. Aye, si there would often take the place of to, but wa could also be come to, depending on the context. Wa ye, wa aye, come to earth. So let me transliterate it now so that it would at least make some sense. The transliteration is, the tails of horses do not, or you could say usually do not, or do not usually grow equally. The same way is not how we bring heads or destinies to earth. Come to earth it is what it is when you transliterate, but to earth. So the tails of horses do not grow equally. The same way is not how we bring heads or destinies to earth. The translation of that is, the proper translation of that is, the lengths of the tails of horses are not equal. The lengths of the tails of horses are not equal. We do not all have the same destinies or life paths and purposes. The lengths of the tails of horses are not equal. We do not all have the same destinies or life paths and purposes. The specific deity that we Yoruba people sort of relate to, you know, the shaping of the life path and purpose and the head, pretty much, is Obatala. And he has several names. Some people call him Baba Arugbo, Orishanla, Mori Mori. Is also known as Obatakutakun Lode Orun, you know, Baba Araye, Oluaye. There are different names that they call Obatala. And this deity is known for his great wisdom and his knowledge, his gentleness and his depth, and his love for purity. Shapes our destinies and parts. I said parts when I wanted to say parts, but that's probably there for a reason, because we all have parts to play in the collective, and that would tie into what I'm about to say next. So, you know, a lot of people wonder, why is it that things are so unequal as far as destinies are concerned? You know, why is it that we have people who have too much to eat? Why do we have like a Queen Elizabeth and we have maybe someone starving in Asia or something, you know, or even in America? You would be surprised. Why are things so unequal? You know, it's best that we look beyond the apparent, because sometimes when we are on earth as souls, you know, we forget that we are much more than Ronke, who has a YouTube channel, and we forget that there's a much bigger purpose that we're here to serve than I can't pay my rent, or the things that we become so busy with when we come here to this planet that we sort of forget who we are altogether. So back to what I was saying. Some people may wonder, why is there Trump when there is a why are things so unequal? I think the reasonable answer that we have to that is, it would be quite ridiculous if everybody was a Michael Jackson, or everybody was everybody was a Donald Trump, or everybody had like the same parts to play and the same paths to follow on earth. It's not equal, but it doesn't necessarily, the fact that the length of the tails of horses are not equal, and some have long tails and are beautiful and whatever, and some don't have tails as long and they're extremely magnificent and gorgeous too. The fact that the destinies are not equal doesn't mean that one is more important than the other, or somebody's a loser because they don't have this much. We all have parts to play. We all the reason why, and I think I said it in one of the slides, this one, I mentioned that all souls are equal and that some souls are more mature, experienced, especially regarding things that pertain to navigating on or through the earth than others, and that life is a school, and it's not surprising that Obatala plays a major role in shaping each person's curriculum, because Obatala is often associated with Jupiter and the Sun much more than any other planet. I think those are the two main planets that is associated with. So it is very interesting how we may sometimes forget the big picture, and we think, everything is so unfair and life is so miserable, and when you were in heaven probably working with Obatala or whatever you call the person who sort of helps you because you don't just come to earth and say, it must be a nice place, let me see how it looks, or let me see how they do things over there. You don't just come like a days. You choose to come because you feel like, I can do this. I'm pretty sure that when I was in heaven or whatever, I thought, maybe of all the many things that I've come here to do in this lifetime, in this incarnation, I'm going to teach a language, and maybe just help people know one or two things that they probably never came across. Even if you're like a janitor in a school, in heaven you may have thought, and it could be temporary, it could be something that you want to do for the rest of your life. You may say, let it be my job to clean the teaching facility of this star seeds, this indigo children, this crystal children, all these beautiful children, and let it be my let me do the humble parts. Let me help make sure that they have a clean place to learn, So we all have our different destinies. And it doesn't, like I said, it's not equal. It may not be that each soul, while they're here, and you best believe that this is a very temporary stay on this planet. The time runs out so fast. So you may, even if you're not making the same money as Oprah is making, and this is not something that I'm saying to make everybody feel better because they don't have Oprah's money, or even if you don't have as much fame or popularity, and even if you don't want it, each person has their role to fill. So this is just a way of me saying, let's be careful of the perspectives the narratives that we that we choose for ourselves, the way that we choose to do things. Sometimes you may compare yourself with someone, and believe it or not, you have a tougher role to play on earth in this incarnation than that person. And this is not, oh, my incarnation is better than yours, or like, each person has their own path. If you are jealous of somebody, let's say that you're jealous of, let me see, what successful person let's say you're jealous of Freddie Mercury for the success, or you're jealous of Michael Jackson, and or maybe, I don't know, jealous of whoever you want to think of. And jealousy is a sick thing, because there's a way that if you don't quickly check in with yourself and say, why am I doing this? I have my own part to play too, and it's just for a short time, so I better get started on what I'm here for. If you don't curtail that jealousy, it would lead to hatred, and when it leads to hatred, it would lead to wickedness. Hatred in the sense of, oh, I just hate you, or let's say, the way people are treating Meghan Markle now, especially people in England, many people, especially Europeans, traditional Europeans, and then hatred, and then wickedness. You start to leave negative comments, or you start to rubbish them on one platform or the other. You incur karmic debts. And then you have a tougher reincarnation if you choose to reincarnate. And most of the time, if you don't clear your karma before you leave, if you don't sort of put a balance to one or two things, or find a resolution to some things, there's a higher chance that you will come back again to fix it. So there would be more lessons to learn. That is why me and you and everyone has to be careful of how they view themselves, the choices that they make, on how they view their life paths. Amongst we Yoruba, usually when a child is born, and I don't think many people, especially with the advent of, I won't say the advent, the introduction of religions, there's a spiritual part to Christianity that is really, really good, and then there's this religious part that is, oh my goodness, it's almost like the Crusaders back again, because the Yoruba people sort of know that there's a predestination aspect to things. When you're in heaven, you worked with your egbe, because we all belong to groups in heaven. We all have our teams. Or maybe you work with your spirit guides and Obatala, who sort of was involved in the creation of you as a soul, and then you as an incarnate or reincarnate, or whatever you call it, on earth. So the Yoruba people will sort of ask Ifa, we call him Eleri Ikme. Ikme is share, part. So Eleri is a witness to your part. When your life was being designed, basically your current life on earth, when you were being given a task, a role to play, we believe that Ifa is often there, it witnesses. So they would ask, what is this person here on earth to do, so that they don't waste your time, because many people waste your time, doing things that they're not supposed to be doing at all. And sometimes it is either peer pressure, or they were pushed there by the parents, or whatever. And when they're 50, they come to the realization that everything that they had been doing before was not what they were supposed to be doing. They were never happy with it. If you were born to be a musician and you go and become a medical doctor, you may be very good, being a doctor. You sort of have a bigger role to play as a musician, so it is very likely that you will be unhappy. So we ask, and the Ifa priest will say, oh, this person was born to be a leader in this forum. You know, these are the things that you should not let this child, in some cases, these are the things that you should not let this child eat, or this is what you should not do. You know, this will help this child achieve his purpose faster and better, not necessarily quicker so that he can die quickly or she can die quickly, not necessarily, but these are the things that will just make this incarnation easy for the child. And sometimes you may not be a leader. You know, the Ifa priest will say this person is here to serve in some way, and if you push this child to become a leader or to the forefront, at some point he may kill himself. Like that. Okay, that was rather graphic, but if you push this child to be a leader, to be in the forefront, he will hurt himself. It's not a person who is going to do well in the public eye very much. But if you let him be a farmer, or let him be this or that, it will be happier, it will have more money, it will have more success, live a happier life. So these are the things that through the Ifa spirituality we concern ourselves about. But some people don't. Like, I see people on, and me as a person, you know, I go online, I check I've seen my natal chart in astrology, I've seen you know, my moon, the moon phase that I was born in, and I was born under the waning gibbous moon. So I'm here to be a teacher and a healer. Like, there's no doubt about it. In whatever means that I choose to do the teaching and the healing, whether I speak or whether I write, and I do both, or whether I sing. I don't do that yet, but I do that like sometimes, you know. So, or whether I act, I would love to do that. So this feels like self-promotion right now. But you know, I'm just saying, my point exactly is we all have our parts to play and our paths to walk. And you know, if you see some people that are successful in this incarnation, you don't know their past life. You don't know like what they went through in a previous life. For example, basically it's about the lessons. It's not necessarily, and I will round up because I don't want this to be another 30-minute video. But it is not about the positions that you feel, or you know, the level of fame, or what. It's very myopic if you look at it that way. It is about the lessons that you're here to learn and what you're here to give, fulfilling that, you know, role of filling those shoes. If you say, oh, why was Michael Jackson so successful, and why was he so, you know, so good, why was he so talented? You don't know what his past life is. You don't know if maybe in a past life he was, let's say, sort of restricted, maybe punished for something that he didn't do, or maybe he suffered a lot. You don't know if he was like super poor in a previous life and he suffered. You don't know if he had like leprosy, for example. You don't know if whatever sort of government that existed then, or form of leadership that existed then, killed him for no reason. Sometimes you don't know this thing. So when you say, oh, she's more beautiful than me, or she's taller and I'm short, that's myopic. What are the lessons that you're supposed to learn as a short person when you were in heaven? And it's not that being short is bad, you know. Let's say you have like a form of dwarfism, for example. So they'll say, no, with dwarf, you're not going to even be alive forever, let alone look that way forever. So why don't you think, well, there are some lessons that I worked with my spirit friends in heaven, or whatever seventh heaven, whatever realm that I existed in before I came here. There was a lesson that I came here to learn, and something that I came to give. So what is it? Is that let's say someone has a form of illness. You say, oh, my life is over. I have cancer. I will never be better. There's a lesson for you there. And there's something that you're supposed to... Sometimes, if we're here to teach something, we would go through the painful aspects of that thing first. We will go through a lot of pain. Let's say you're here to be like a counselor, in a relationship counselor. You will probably get your heart broken at least once. And then from that experience, so instead of being stuck in a temporary position, and all of this, our existence itself is temporary, at least until we choose to come back again. In my past incarnation, I was like, per like the reading that I did, and I've not done a past life regression, I probably should, but I kept saying like ancient Egypt and Greco-Roman. So if I lived in Greece or in Rome or in Egypt and I've come back here again to do some teaching, I don't know when, perhaps when I come back the next time after I die, we'll be working with robots. And if there's a lesson for me to learn in this sphere that we call Earth at that time, I will. So let's all see beyond this temporary thing that we call our lives. So I really spoke a lot. That was a lot of talking. I apologize. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like to. And I thank you very, very, very much for your support. Renata, Samuel, I thank you very, very much. Everybody, thank you so, so much. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day and goodbye.